Well, there it is, the FIFA World Cup trophy unveiled in St. Petersburg, one of 11 Russian cities hosting games for the rapidly approaching 2018 World Cup. Russia pulling out all the stops for soccer fans, both those close to home and the hundreds of thousands expected to visit from abroad. Of course, these days, news about Russia in the West tends to be bad news. Spies and sanctions and diplomatic expulsions, talk of a new Cold War. But soccer's World Cup begins in a few days, and Chris Brown's dispatch from Moscow shows us a country more than ready for some different headlines.
Russians are getting ready to open their doors and welcome the world. During the 4 weeks of FIFA 2018, 1 million foreign visitors are expected to get a close-up look at Russia, many for the first time. They'll visit new stadiums, tour landmarks, and fill their suitcases up with Matryoshka dolls.
The World Cup represents a unique marketing opportunity for Russia. 8 years ago, when Russia was awarded the tournament, it was before the Olympic doping scandal, before Russia's takeover of Crimea and successive rounds of economic sanctions. It was impossible to know then just how bad relations with the West would get.
But practically every ticket has been sold, and most Russians now hope tourists leave with a better impression. Yulia Golubeva and Alexei Kvostov plan to do their part to show Russia's nice side. I think foreign visitors will see that Russia is not a hostile state. They'll see that we're powerful and we're also friends. We're open to everyone and we're friendly.
Welcome, как говорится, welcome.
Welcome to Russia.
12 стадионов.
Whereas the Sochi Olympics in 2014 were focused on a single city, the World Cup spans 11. 12 stadiums were either built from scratch or heavily renovated,
В Волгограде, Самаре, Казани.
with a total bill likely to far exceed the projected $11 billion budget.
This is even more important to them, I think, than the Olympics. This is their show, and they'll put on a great show here.
Doug Steele of Halifax has called Moscow home for 24 years. He's probably one of the best-known Canadians in the city.
The owner of the bar is a Canadian, Doug Steele.
Thanks to the popularity of his many bars and restaurants over the years. He predicts visitors will be surprised that what they see of Russia doesn't square with the negative headlines.
Everyone comes here, they're sort of apprehensive of what they're going to get. And everyone seems to be leaving with this, it's not what I thought. For me, it's infinitely better off than it was 20 years ago. Much, much better off. Much better off. And anybody that says differently, I think, is probably a little wrong. Do I support the government? It's the government. Do I support the Canadian government? It's the government. Yeah. But the country, I think the country's great.
Moscow's famously beautiful and efficient metro system has taken the lead on trying to roll out the welcome mat to visitors.
The next station is Tretyakovsky.
It's added English announcements on the trains and reprinted almost 31,000 signs so that there's now English along with the Russian.
Is there a cash machine in the station?
Yes, it is.
Where is it?
It's also training hundreds of ticket clerks and other workers on how to be more helpful to English-speaking visitors.
You need to cross the street.
We dropped in on a language class with teacher Yevgenia Zaborskaya.
Is there a bike rental station on the map?
Yes.
How can I get there from the metro?
Go straight on from the metro, then turn left.
My students usually say that, especially booking clerks, that passengers, they are surprised when booking clerks can explain more than just prices.
Russia's TV1, the local rights holder, has been hyping the tourism benefits of the tournament for months. Ironically, the largest group of foreign ticket holders will be from countries whose teams didn't qualify, China and the United States.
Let me help you.
Metro worker Ivan Smetanin says the enormous cost of hosting FIFA will be worth it if people have a good time.
Cities compete with each other to impress their visitors, to attract more guests. So we take a real part in this process.
Still, politics will never be far from the football pitch. President Vladimir Putin has his fan ID and is no doubt hoping the spectacle will demonstrate Russia's greatness to the world. While detractors note his government has conveniently jailed Russia's leading opposition figure, Alexei Navalny, for the duration of the competition. Don't let Putin off the hook by forgetting Russia's bad behavior, say his critics.
Putin's going to use it the way Hitler used the 1936 Olympics. Yes, I think the comparison with 1936 is certainly right.
Doug Steele, the Canadian expat, says you can enjoy Russia without agreeing with its government.
This is not Hitler's state. This is none of that stuff at all. And I think that's wrong. I think that's unfair. Don't get caught up on who runs it. Realistically, don't get caught up on that. You know, people go to Vietnam. Are they caught up on the fact that they're still a communist government? They don't even think about it. They just think it's another extension of Thailand or something. I just think you come here and enjoy the people.
Good afternoon.
FIFA may not do much to improve relations between governments, but Russians are hoping it can build better relationships with those who visit here.
One ticket. No problem.
Chris Brown, CBC News, Moscow.
Now, Chris mentioned that most of the ticket purchases are coming from countries that didn't even qualify for the World Cup finals. That is one surprise in a tournament that has already seen a few. First of all, Italy didn't even qualify for the finals, the first time it didn't make the cut in 60 years. Another World Cup powerhouse, the Netherlands, also failed to qualify. Meanwhile, some seldom-seen teams will be in Russia this time. Egypt made it for the first time since 1990, while Peru hasn't qualified since 1982, though its problem now, a captain banned for doping. Then there's Iceland. This is the country's first World Cup final. With a population of just over 300,000, it is the smallest country ever to make it.